1/3, which is 6 pi. So 6 pi is my period. It's going to take 6 pi intervals to complete a whole period, okay? So this graph has a horizontal stretch. I still take my x over 3 and set it equal to a negative pi. So x equals a negative 3 pi is my first asymptote. X over 3 equals a positive pi. So x equals positive 3 pi is my other end of my period, my other asymptote. And then you can find their average, or x over 3 equals 0, because in my parent function, 0 is where the third asymptote exists. My asymptote is still going to be at 0. Now, this graph doesn't go to negative 3 pi, but I know that I have an asymptote at 0. I know that I have an asymptote at positive 3 pi. I know my period is 6 pi, so I know that 6 pi divided by 2 is 3 pi. My asymptotes are going to repeat at an interval of 3 pi. So we want the middle. We want the middle of this, okay? So the middle of this is going to be 3 pi halves. If I plug in 3 pi halves, 3 pi halves divided by 3 is pi halves. The sign of pi halves is 1, and the reciprocal of 1 is 1. From here, if you're not good at fractions and you're not good at breaking this apart, this is a really good graph where you can go to your calculator to plot some more points, okay? And I haven't used the calculator yet, so I'm going to take the calculator on this one and use the calculator to show you. So in your y equals, your calculator does not have cosecant, so I have to do 1 divided by the sine of x divided by 3. And I want to make sure that I am in radian mode. And under zoom, I want to make sure that I'm using zoom trig. And now this graph is only going on my calculator from 0 to 2 pi, right? And we can see that under the window, I'm going from negative 2 pi to positive 2 pi. So up here, this is only 0 to 2 pi, versus on my paper, this is going from 0 to 9 pi. So just so that I can see the whole thing under my window, I'm going to change this, and I'm going to go from 0 to 9 pi so that I can see what the whole thing looks like. So I'm going to have 3 pieces. This will be a period and a half is what's going to happen. Now, again, my calculator is old, and so it's trying to connect these branches, and it's drawing in, it's connecting the 2 pieces. This is not supposed to be here. This is an asymptote, which we already drew, okay? So at pi, I can go second calc value, and I can type in pi. It's up at only at 1.1. So it's just barely above 1. And the nice thing is these are all symmetrical, so once I get one piece and I have one piece graphed accurately, I can just mimic it in my other sections. So I'm also going to type in pi halves so I can see how tall this is. So I'm going to do pi halves. And at pi halves, it's up at 2 on this particular graph. Okay, so I have 5 nice points to draw my piece, and then I can go back and I can mimic that. This one's, of course, going to be down here, and this one's going to be up here. They will always alternate for cosecant. So this one's going to be down at -1, and here this would be at about a -1.1, and then halfway in here is going to be at a -2. And this one's going to be back up above the y-axis where y is again positive. And there's my cosecant graph.